The Acolyte Episode 4 is not just content with being bad, it also wants to destroy one of the members of the Jedi Council from the prequels. Let's talk about the little fan war that's going on over ki-adi-mundi here on That Park Place. Hello, I am Jonas J. Campbell, an investigative reporter for That Park Place. And not only today do I have my Wookiee co-pilot, Mr. VashSky, but also another furry fellow, Mr. Marvin, the movie monster. Marvin, how's it going today?
I mean, I watched the Acolyte episode 4 last night, so not great. I feel like I have a hangover and didn't drink anything.
It really was not good. There was not much to take away from the episode for entertainment value, but there's plenty to think about if you think about how it could have been better, or how they changed the story of Star Wars, or maybe changed the story of Star Wars. This whole thing, it's supposed to be a callback to the entire purpose of doing a story set in Star Wars. You would think would be that they're going to use what exists in Star Wars as a stepping stone into doing what they want, but instead we get this. Okay. There's a scene in the middle of this episode that takes place, it's not the Jedi Council, but it's a lot of Jedi standing around talking about this situation. There's Saul is there, and Vanestra Rowe, the Green Lady, played by Leslie Headland's wife. She's there, and this is at least the second time in the entire show that she's suggested that they need to have some kind of conspiracy theory going. They don't need to tell the Jedi Council about what's going on. And there is one character in particular that's in this scene that I assumed was not the guy that he looked like, but it was ki-adi-mundi. Marvin, can you tell us who is ki-adi-mundi?
Ki-adi-mundi is one of the first real Jedi outside of the core Jedi that we met in episode 1. He's a member of the Jedi High Council. He's a Saurian Jedi Master. He dies on, I believe, the planet Mygito during Order 66 when the clone troopers turn on him. He's one of the first Jedi to ever face off against General Grievous in the decanonized cartoon series, which was fantastic. But yeah, he's been pretty much a fan favorite for a while. He was, detailed a lot in the Legends stuff.
But what of the Wookiees?
And what about the droid attack on the Wookiees and the Sith have been extinct for a millennia? And he has your thoughts dwell on your mother. I was fascinated by ki-adi-mundi in episode 1 when I was a kid, when I saw it in theaters, because I was just like, wow, this guy, he looks so weird. He's a Jedi. We hadn't seen a lot of Jedi up to that point, and especially not a lot. The only non-human Jedi we had seen up to that point was Yoda. So ki-adi-mundi was one of the very first.
Yep, and you're right on the money here, by the way, about Mygito. That's one that has to come from outside of the movies, because I don't think they label the planets in the same way that they do now. Now they have to tell everybody what planet they're on every time they get to a new planet in Star Wars.
I'm a freak, so I spent my teen years just diving into these things and knowing the expanded universe inside and out, and then they decanonized it. So
yeah, which pretty frustrating to the lore keepers, as it were. So I want to go to this tweet from Raging Rhino. Before the episode and after the episode, if it wasn't canon, why would they go through the effort of changing it? Disney Star Wars seals are in coping so hard right now. And before you say Legends was never canon, let me reiterate, how do you decanonize something that was never canon? So it's actually two pictures here. First of all, here we have homeworld of Saria, born prior to 132 BBY, which means 132 BBY. This is before the Battle of Yavin. This is when the Acolyte takes place. This is now canon, but what it used to be was right here, 93 BBY, which is I don't know what story they're referencing specifically here, but it's very specific that he was born at this specific time, and he's a specific age when he's on the Jedi Council there in Phantom Menace. The other thing that they add in here is that again, they take ki-adi-mundi, who is supposed to be, because we have no normal Jedi anymore. There is no boilerplate. This is a Jedi. This is a Jedi Master. I think the closest you get is Obi-Wan Kenobi, but at the same time, he ends up training Anakin, which is a little bit against the Council's wishes, but the Council kind of accepts it. So I don't know. I feel like they're really struggling to have a standard definition Jedi anywhere left in this series, because this guy, at this point, I'm going to say they made him corrupt.
You think?
You mentioned two lines. First of all, he's the one who cares about the Wookiees, and he's the one who, in Revenge of the Sith, he has them go to defend Kashyyyk. Sorry, but he very specifically says something about the Sith in the prequel trilogies.
The Sith have been extinct for a millennia,
meaning that the Sith were nowhere to be found. And do the Jedi lie? By the way, is that a something that the Jedi do?
Well, if you believe this show, yes, but not in anything else that resembles anything that knows anything about Star Wars. No, they don't lie.
Go ahead, Vash.
Also, too, if we are to believe that this person is a Sith, too, I'm sure they'll play around with that a little bit as well. I can imagine. But you're taking the person who actually said the line to set up this, I think, for a lot of people, this pre-established fact. They're taking that specific person and twisting it and saying, wait a minute, how did you know that this was a pre-established fact? Where did this come from? Oh, let's go ahead and twist this guy. And so that way, it makes you question the entire universe. What is true? What is not? That's what they're doing right there. And it's not the worst idea in the world, but Leslie is not at all clever enough to do it.
Yeah. So after the episode came out, or I'm not even going to say after the episode came out, we went to go check on what was going on with this fella right here. And there he is with his giant head, Ki-adi-mundi, Force-sensitive Syrian male, member of the Jedi High Council during the last decades of the Galactic Republic. By the way, they confirmed that he's not a member of the Council in the show. Right here, they do confirm his death. They don't list his birth. But let's see. No. But what we can see is if we go over here to the edit page, and for people who are not aware of what is going on Wookieepedia right now and what this is a fan-based or supposed fan-based encyclopedia that can be edited virtually by anyone. There have been some things that have changed here. As you can see, there's the rainbow flag depicted here on the word Wookieepedia, and then the Star Wars wiki. They put the trans flag colors here in the letters for Star Wars. But if you look,
and they also put pronouns for every single character.
They did actually. If you go over here for that, you can see they don't have his birth year listed, but they do have his pronouns listed as he, him. They did this for every single character in Star Wars going back. It was kind of a controversial edit, although you would think it would be self-evident from reading the articles themselves. But if you look here, and this is server time, so this is not necessarily the time listed. This is the time listed at the server that hosts Wookieepedia. 2:59 visual edit at 3 o'clock, 3:01, 3:02, 3:02, 3:02. I mean, these are people editing back and forth. High traffic page, allow only auto confirmed users. Not on the council at this point. Corrected birth year. All of a sudden, Ki-adi-mundi, who is I'm going to say a minor character in the prequels, became an issue that is very angry between most of the fans. In fact, someone close to us recently reached out and said, "Who cares? Who cares whatsoever when this guy was born?" I'm just going to throw this to you, Vash and Marvin. Who does care about this? Because I don't think it's Lucasfilm.
Definitely not. No, it's the fans that care. The people that grew up with a specific story, and now that story is being changed specifically to suit the whims of a blockhead.
Ironically, no. I mean, I remember getting like boxes of books from the expanded universe, and do you remember this, Marvin? In the introduction, some of those books, you had the timeline all specified and laid out there, and it was very significant.
Everything.
Right? It was very significant when things happen.
You would get the timeline of the books, you would get a map of the galaxy, and it was everything that you needed. I'm sure the map of the galaxy is going to change depending on their whims as well.
Sure.
Yeah, who cares where their generic planets are? Because there is not. I think the last planet that they had in one of these, where I was like, "That's a cool planet," like that's like a striking visual for a planet, was probably that salt planet in The Last Jedi, which is like the only thing I liked in The Last Jedi.
Yes,
it did. It was a salt planet that highlighted in red for some reason, and they also took the time to explain that it was a salt planet in there, which is fascinating. Of course, a planet made of salt is perfect for The Last Jedi because people were obviously very salty after The Last Jedi. Yeah.
Well, but this is significant, right? So, like in the first episode of this series, for example, do you remember when Asha made her triumphant prisoner escape, right? And the escape pods containing the other prisoners were jettisoned. Well, then in literally the next cut of the scene, we see those inhabitants of those pods back at the Jedi Council on Coruscant, and yet they didn't. I suppose they sent Jedi out to retrieve them, but didn't actually go to the crash site itself where Asha was. Very strange, very bizarre. This is why Marvin is bringing up the kind of the map, because it's like, okay, well, in the passage of time for those incidents to take place, that would have had to been a tremendous leap unless this planet was located like right next to Coruscant. So this is the kind of the jumping around that they do in order to fill in their plot holes and to make sense of this universe that they themselves don't respect.
Really, when it comes down to it, I think that they would do better if this was just a new series off on its own, that they could build a fan base on its own. It's funny because this is a show that minimum cost $180 million. It might have actually cost 180 million British pounds. We're still waiting to find out. We won't know for another year just how much this entire thing cost, but we're also hearing about budget cuts within the series. So if you don't have the budget that you need, what you can do is use all of the resources at Lucasfilm to make sure that you follow the canon here or fill in some interesting gaps, as opposed to taking another member of the Jedi Council and making him a little bit evil. By the way, the existence of ki-adi-mundi as I guess he's supposed to be a master, but not on the High Council at this point. That means that Yoda is in existence here, and
Yoda should be on the council at this point.
That's a very good point. And if he's hiding the Sith and he looks Yoda, well, he doesn't look Yoda straight in the eye, but he says to Yoda that it's not a Sith in the prequel trilogy, and he knows about some red lightsaber wielding force user that is in the middle of some planet, and unless everyone dies on that planet, which, hey, that's a possibility, happened in Rogue One, still they had some record of what happened there. It just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense, and it corrupts characters that are already there, which I think might be the intention here.
They've got a few red shirts with them on that planet that are definitely going to die. I think all of them but Jedi Master Squid Games, Padawan Chitara, and Jedi Knight Superfan are going to die.
But that's the thing. It was a big deal when Qui-Gon came to the council and said, hey, I think I ran into a Sith. And there were no stakes there. Nobody died. And that was like, whoa, wait a minute. Hang on now. So the fact that they may have covered up even murders and deaths and all kinds of stuff, I mean, this is, we're getting into some dicey territory here.
The only other thing I would add is that Venestra Rowe, who's supposed to be this, I guess she's supposed to be an admirable character. She can't go a scene without pointing out something that she thinks should be covered up for the sake of the Jedi.
Well, that and just constantly the female Jedi. Did you notice in that scene are just constantly berating the male Jedi and telling them they're wrong, and getting up in Jedi Master Squid Game's face. It's just non-stop stunning bravery going on in the Jedi Temple. And look, I said this on the show with you and Pro last night, Jonas. I said the only reason we're breaking the Jedi down and deconstructing the Jedi to the extent that we're doing is to show that they were always bad, so that Rey can make them good for the first time.
Oh, it's so true. And
that's right. They will have their episode 10 new beginning, according to the rumor on production list over there. I'm not confirming that rumor. I'm just chuckling at the idea that that's the name of the next Star Wars. This will begin to set things right again trilogy, or whatever.
They want to get to the point where you look at the Order 66 scene and you're like, serves them right.
That's right. Him turning around on Maigito, and they've upgraded the clones. They've made the clones look excellent, which, I mean, the clones are excellent, other than the brain control or mind control from Sheev Palpatine. But
I hated the chips. I like in the original expanded universe, it was that the clones were not hardwired to obey that command. They were just trained to have a devotion to the Supreme Chancellor.
Exactly.
And whatever he said went.
So this is the problem when you start to fill in the gaps and you need things to happen. And, at least in the Clone Wars, they kept Anakin and Obi-Wan Kenobi from meeting General Grievous so they could maintain the integrity of that line of them never actually having met in person. But now
I always like to think that line is the bane of Dave Filoni's existence, because it's just Anakin. Like when it's Anakin where he's just like, oh, General Grievous, you're shorter than I expected, or something like that. And I like, because of that, it's like Anakin walks out of a room, Grievous walks into the room for like all those seasons of Clone Wars. I was always like, he hates that line so much.
And this is why canon infuriates people who are trying to create new stories. But if you're trying to create new stories, create new stories. Don't try to create new Star Wars. That being said, we want to throw this to our commenters. Is this just something that is ridiculous and we've spent 15, 16 minutes here wasting your time talking about this guy with a weird shaped head and how important he is to Star Wars? Or is it legitimate to say that Lucasfilm, why do you have all these lore experts on staff if they're just going to ignore the lore? You should hire Lauren Connor, actually. I don't think he would come work for you, but maybe if you want to learn a thing about Star Wars, maybe you should do that. I normally ask for comments. I'm thinking we're going to get them anyways here. I try to say something to inspire comments. This entire situation is both ridiculous and infuriating for so many reasons. I'm sure you guys got something to say. Like this video if you like this video. Thank you so much for being here, Marvin. Everybody go check out Tooneytown TV and Tooneytown Wrestling. The channels are doing really well, and you should go see why they are doing very well. And consider subscribing to That Park Place for all the news that should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Place News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.